I still not convinced with their back end, the way it's built, but we'll see what they do with that. But as far as JT Miller, the captaincy there, I think that was the absolute right move. I'm excited to see some guys on that team bounce back this year. They have really good hockey players that had all collectively off years last year. That's a recipe for no success.
Just speaking about JT Miller's captaincy, clearly you like it. I'm just wondering around JT Miller now, when you think about the Ranger room, if in fact that JT on occasion can get too emotional. Is there anyone else in that room that can go up and help JT, or at least maybe settle him down, or is that guy not really there?
I'd have to assume that's Vinny Trocheck because of their relationship, and
Okay.
those guys grew up playing youth hockey in Pittsburgh,
Yep.
and another Ohio boy, JT Miller, born East Palestine, Ohio, which is right outside Youngstown, and there wasn't a ton of hockey there, so he played in Pittsburgh with Vinny, and they're really tight. So I think Vinny Trocheck would be that guy that can. I don't know the whole dynamic of the relationship, but hey, bud, like
Yeah.
you and me, look at me. Like now's not the time, or this time. I'm
Yeah.
sure that those things are in check there. We've talked about it before. I feel like this is a team that needs a little bit of that. I'd much rather try to reel JT in than try to get reaction and get guys to step up in certain moments, whether it's emotionally or by gameplay. So, and Mike Sullivan's got a good grasp on him, having him at Four Nations and understands. I'm sure there's a lot of research done just from what happened last year as well. So yeah, no, it's a great question. I think Vinny Trocheck would probably have to be that guy for me.
Yeah, what's the expression? Rather tame a tiger than paint stripes on a pussycat. I think that's something like that. That's better. So looking around some of the teams this year and expectations, there's a couple teams that I feel like got written off going into this year. Pittsburgh's going to stink.
Mm-hmm.
Boston's not even trying to win.
Pittsburgh's 2-0.
I
You
know,
just got to
Boston's
get rid
good
of
too.
Sullivan.
That's my question
You
to
just
Rupert.
needed Sullivan out of the room.
What are we dealing with here? These two teams, are they maybe not bad?
So yeah, I mean, it's great starts. I'm never going to poo-poo that. I mean, you want to win hockey games. That's the goal every single night when you go out, and those teams are right now. I still think that the beginning of the seasons every year, they're fun storylines. I'm not saying these are fun. I'm saying individual storylines. Like Justin Brazeau. I mean, you got him 3 goals. He looks awesome with Gino. He might have an incredible season, but 20 games in, we start to learn things about players individually and teams, I feel like. So these are things like Gino. Evgeny Malkin looks awesome right now. He looks awesome every year at the start of the year because he's healthy. I think that's the biggest thing. He's fresh and his legs are going good. So I think between the two teams, the team actually I've been impressed with maybe a little bit more because I think Pittsburgh has that. They have the skill. They have more than one guy. It's probably Boston. I'm actually pretty impressed with Boston. I think Boston's been fantastic, but I really believe I saw Cam Neely come out the other day and said they're going to be a tough out. And for me, that's sometimes just feels like what you're supposed to say when you're the head of an organization. But they actually might be a tough out this year. I think they might surprise some teams because they're kind of scrappy group there. So I love the storylines. But I'm not going to say that either of those teams are going to be playoff teams because I still probably feel pretty strongly they're not going to be.
You're watching and listening to Stanley Cup champion Mike Rupp. Does a great job on NHL Network. Okay, Rupper, we've on occasion had a bit of a bold statement or comment on this show, but I rank yours right up there with this one on the Toronto Maple Leafs, where they lost 100 points, 24-minute man in Mitch Marner. Yet you say that this is the best lineup they've had in a long time.
Yeah, yes.
Where do you go? Like, where are your first thoughts on that?
So, when I say that is with the goal in mind of winning the Stanley Cup, and not skill-wise. I mean, no, that's foolish. Are you saying it? I am not saying that they are a more talented team now than they were before Mitch ends up going to Vegas. But that's where maybe there's maybe differences in opinions on what wins and what doesn't win in this league with fans even. Because fans are going to sit there and go, well, I want a more skill. We're a better team. Yeah, you might be a better team. We've seen that here. That's been the story. There's never been a lack of talent. And we see that for a bunch of different teams. I actually think this year those points are going to be missed. I think Mitch makes you a better team on a night-to-night basis in the regular season. It's nothing to do with Mitch, cutting Mitch out. They've built a better bottom six. This is a bottom six now that I feel that can make a difference in the postseason. I think the Florida Panthers are a perfect example of the way they approach things. We use whatever term you want, greasier, grittier. We've seen Toronto get gritty before, but these are actual players who've had some success. I feel in the playoffs, just having big moments. They've got those guys. I don't think it has to be the big guys. I think they have a team now that has specific roles. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. And the game is changing a lot. And a lot of times we have players nowadays miscast where you're playing a player, maybe the bottom two lines are the farm club for the top two lines. That's not going to win in the playoffs. You have to have the players that think the game a certain way, playing particular roles, being able to sit there and maybe play 11 minutes a night, but be effective in those 11 minutes. They have guys that can do that. So that's what I meant by that. This is a team come playoff time. I think that you're not going to have to look at the same guys all the time. And I think it's a very well-built, honestly, probably outside of Vegas for forward depth, I might like Toronto. They might be my second favorite forward depth team in the National Hockey League. And who knows, I might be dead wrong the way the season plays out. But I think Scotty Lawton getting more and more comfortable, having a full season. Nick Waugh, I think, is going to pan out really well. Dakota Joshua is an intriguing one to me. And you go on some of the bigger guys that they've had burst on the scene, maybe taking the next step. Matthew Knight, Bobby McMahon, I've loved. So, yeah, I think this team's going to be a much more difficult out in the postseason. They might not have as much regular season success as far as point total, but they're closer to a Stanley Cup right now, I believe.
You know, Rupper, these teams kind of take these steps in the rebuild to getting into playoffs with some consistency, and then the expectations change, right? For the Leafs, it's like, okay, how do we find that next level? Round 2 last year, how do you get farther? Watching some of these other teams, and I have Montreal in mind right now, they've made this transition from the rebuild to a team that made the playoffs and kind of what's coming next. They play Detroit last night and win 5-1, a good showing there. There's rumors about Crosby this year, and people are like, what about Montreal? Maybe he'll go to Montreal. He loved them as a kid. I don't know. What are your thoughts on A, where the Canadians are at, and B, your boy Sidney Crosby, if he's going to go somewhere or not? Because that would be a match that Habs fans would love to hear.
That would be incredible. I'll start with the first thing. Montreal was so fun to watch. What a special year last year was, and how special Nick Suzuki was down the stretch. I mean, I don't know where you guys are at on him, but I mean, I think he's an elite centerman in this league now. And I thought he was a very good one before, but what he did last year down the stretch, almost willing that team in some regards. There's that 2 games. I think it was like March. It was something like March 30th and April 1st, both against the Florida Panthers, home and home. And he basically willed them the 2 wins in their comeback fashion in the third period. It was all Nick Suzuki, and I loved it. But I love Lane Hudson's season. I just think that last year had something special to it that's going to be very hard to replicate. Mm-hmm. And I think they have question marks as far as it's almost the same thing that we were talking about before. You can't just slap talent